Hey everybody, Aaron Rift here from NoDQ.com, and this is my top 15 greatest WWE female performers in the history of the modern era video. I took a lot of time compiling this list, and I took a lot of different things under consideration: impact on the industry, matches, promos, character, all that I put together, and I came up with my personal top 15. Some of you may agree with the choices, some of you may disagree, but I will do my best here to give you my reasoning behind the order of this list. So let's go ahead and get started with number 15. Number 15 is Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks was part of the WWE Women's Revolution. She was one of the stars that emerged from NXT and became a focal point of the Revolution once that began full force in 2015. Sasha has been a part of several firsts in WWE. She was in the first women's Iron Man match, or Iron Woman's match. She was part of the first women's Hell in a Cell match. Sasha had a Match of the Year winner for the NoDQ.com year-end awards. Sasha and Bayley, their match 2015 in Brooklyn, New York. That won the NoDQ.com Match of the Year award. First time women won that award. Sasha has accomplished a lot in a short period of time, and I think that her career still has a long ways to go, and there's still more for her to do at this point. Coming in at number 14 is Alexa Bliss. I feel that Alexa is somebody that really was not a person that people had very high expectations for in NXT. I feel like some fans maybe wrote her off as being just a generic blonde, but when she came to the main roster, she quickly outshined pretty much everyone on the roster. She became a major star in a short period of time, and despite being 5 feet tall, Alexa made up for it with some remarkable promo skills. She became one of the best heels in WWE, male or female. She was just delivering in the ring, on the mic. She won several championships on SmackDown and then became the Raw Women's Champion. She won Money in the Bank in 2018. And I feel that, like Sasha, Alexa's story is still being told, and she could very well rise up in the rankings of this list over time. Coming in at number 13 is Natalya. I feel that Natalya has never really been focused as the top star of the women's division at any point during her run, but she has been a constant in the WWE women's division for over a decade now. She came in 2008, the daughter of the legendary Jim the Anvil Neidhart. She was paired up with D.S. Smith and her husband, T.J. Wilson, and she broke off on her own. She had a lot of success throughout the years. She had quality matches. She was always a reliable personality in WWE, and I feel like she definitely deserves the recognition. And hopefully, one day she will go into the Hall of Fame. And Natalya has been a real great performer in WWE, very solid, and she's been able to help some of the younger women. She's done a lot, not just on camera, but off camera as well. Coming in at number 12 is Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix, in my opinion, was one of the best wrestlers of the Divas period in WWE. She brought some real credibility to that era. When she came in 2006, she had the look. She was billed as the Glamazon. She would do storylines with the male wrestlers, most notably Santino Marella in 2008. She was only the second woman to compete in the men's Royal Rumble match in 2010, and she's actually the only person to be in both a men's and women's Royal Rumble match. Beth would go on to win the NoDQ.com year-end award for Female Superstar of the Year in 2011. She would walk away in 2012. she did get inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and she's done other things since then besides her occasional appearances. She also does commentary, and she left her mark. She wasn't around in WWE for a really long time, but when she was around, she definitely made an impact. Coming in at number 11 is Ronda Rousey. Yes, Ronda has only been in WWE for a short period of time, but let's face it, Ronda has already made a significant mark in WWE. She has brought more eyeballs to the product, and I feel she has greatly exceeded expectations so far. There are fans that feel she's coming in, taking the spotlight from other women. I see it a different way. I see her coming in and elevating the women's division, giving it more credibility. She initially appeared in WWE in 2015 with The Rock at WrestleMania 31, and it was only a matter of time. Roddy Piper gave her his stamp of approval, allowed her to use the Rowdy moniker. Rousey made her official debut at the 2018 Royal Rumble. WrestleMania, she had one of the best matches of the night, teaming up with Kurt Angle, and then of course winning the women's title over the summer. Ronda has done a lot in a short period of time, and she is proving her critics wrong. Already, she has become a regular. She's on Raw every week. She's defending the title on pay-per-views, and at the rate she's going, she could go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest female WWE superstar of all time. All right, here we go with number 10, and this might generate some controversy. Nikki Bella. I know she is a very polarizing figure, like her former boyfriend John Cena. I will give Nikki Bella credit where credit is due, and both Bellas for that matter. Nikki and Brie, they came into WWE as part of the Diva Search in 2006. They were models. They became wrestlers later on, but they embraced their job. They had the passion for it, and they did improve, especially Nikki. They left, and then they came back, and they had something to prove. You had Total Divas, and let's face it, Total Divas has been a draw for WWE. The ratings were solid, and let's face it, 8 seasons, something is being done right for there to be 8 seasons. I feel that they have done a lot to help increase the female viewership in WWE, which is something important. The Bellas are definitely a draw. And Nikki, she ended up breaking AJ Lee's record as the longest reigning Divas champion, 300 plus days as champion. She had a serious neck injury, which she came back from. You have to give her credit. She could have just went off into the sunset, but she came back, and I will give her the credit. Nikki Bella, number 10 on the list of greatest female superstars in WWE history. Coming in at number 9 is Mickie James. Mickie James came into WWE after having a run with NWA TNA, now known as Impact Wrestling. She debuted in 2005. She began a storyline with Trish Stratus where she was stalking Trish. She was an over-obsessed fan. Trish and Mickie had a classic match at WrestleMania 22 in Chicago. Mickie would go on to really carry the division for several years once Trish and Lita left. Mickie would win the NoDQ.com year-end award for Female Superstar of the Year in 2007 and 2009. She had a great run with the company. She even stuck it out when the company was making fun of her in storylines with the whole Mickie James angle. She left in 2010, went back to TNA, and then made her triumphant return to WWE in 2016 at the NXT TakeOver Toronto show with her match against Asuka. Mickie had something to prove. She showed the world that she still had it. WWE brought her back full time. She was on SmackDown. She went back to Raw, and she has been a focal point in the women's revolution. Mickie had her second run and she's doing great, and there's still more to come for her. Coming in at number 8 is Paige. I would like to refer to Paige as a prodigy. She was born into the wrestling business and she just had the it factor from the very beginning. She was signed to WWE when she was barely an adult. She would become the first NXT Women's Champion just as the Women's Evolution was getting started. And then 2014, the night after WrestleMania 30, Paige would make her main roster debut, defeat AJ Lee to become the youngest Divas Champion at just 21 years of age. Paige would go on to be a major part of the revolution of the women in WWE. She would have various feuds over the years. Unfortunately, she had some personal issues. She got injured. She had to leave. She had her relationship with Alberto Del Rio, which was controversial, but she did have her comeback story. She returned in 2017. Unfortunately, she suffered a career-ending injury, but she continued on. She has done various jobs in WWE. She was part of Tough Enough, and now she is the general manager of SmackDown Live. Just a very charismatic performer, great promo, and during her in-ring career, she was one of the best, no doubt. Coming in at number 7 is a name that some younger fans may not be familiar with. That person is Sensational Sherri. Sherri was, in my opinion, the best female WWE superstar of her era, the late 80s, early 90s. Sherri had been a big star in the AWA, and then she came to WWE. She won the Women's Championship from Fabulous Moolah. And by the way, this is the top 15 superstars of the modern era. Fabulous Moolah, no doubt, one of the top female superstars of the pre-1984 period in WWE. Sherri would go on to have a 15-month run as champion. The WWE would phase out the women's division, and Sherri would remain a major superstar in WWE. She became the manager of the Macho King Randy Savage. Later, she would be teamed up with Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and then she would be paired up with a freshly turned heel, Shawn Michaels, including her vocals on Shawn Michaels' original heel theme song, the first version of Sexy Boy. Sherri was just very charismatic, great promo. She would take bumps as a manager. She would take bumps from the male wrestlers. Sherri was just very well-rounded and very entertaining to watch. Go check out the 1991 Royal Rumble, her segment with the Ultimate Warrior. Great performance by her, and she definitely deserves the recognition from the wrestling media and the entire wrestling industry as a whole. Number 6 on my list of the top 15 female WWE superstars of the modern era is Becky Lynch, someone who I feel is overall maybe the best female performer in WWE. She hasn't quite gotten the main event push yet, but she has been very consistent as far as all the attributes go. She is a great promo, she's a great wrestler, she has a great look to her, and she's very likable. She came in 2013 to NXT. She was part of this group of women that would redefine the women's division in WWE. She would come to the main roster in 2015. She would be aligned with Paige and Charlotte. She would go on to be drafted to SmackDown in 2016 and become the first SmackDown Women's Champion. After that, she kind of fell into this spot where she really wasn't getting a major push, but the fans were still behind her. She had the respect of the fans, and then in 2018 at SummerSlam, we saw the big angle where Becky turned against her best friend Charlotte and really started to come into her own as a performer. We got to see a different side of Becky, and she has just been fantastic. And I think with her current momentum, she will go down as one of the all-time great WWE superstars. We are now down to the top 5 of the top 15 greatest female superstars of the WWE modern era. Number 5 is Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair could very well, when it's all said and done, be the greatest female superstar of all time. She has it in her blood. Of course, she is the daughter of the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. She came into WWE around the same time as Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Paige, and she made an immediate impact. 2015, she defeated Nikki Bella to win the Divas title. The Divas title would become the women's title in early 2016 at WrestleMania. Charlotte would go on to have some memorable feuds with Sasha Banks. The two of them had the first women's Hell in a Cell match. They would main event Raw on several occasions. Charlotte, as far as her promos, her look, she just has superstar written all over her. I know some fans maybe resent her, feeling she's only getting pushed because of her father. Keep in mind, even when you have your foot in the door because of your name, you also have the expectations. There's more pressure put on you to be great. And I think she's been great, and I think if she keeps it up, she could very well be number 1 when it's all said and done. Coming in at number 4 is the 9th wonder of the world, Chyna. Unfortunately, Chyna has been largely overlooked by WWE because of her controversial personal life, and then sadly, she passed away in 2016. But Chyna, as far as I'm concerned, was the defining female superstar of the Attitude Era. Sable was a big star, Sunny was a big star, but Chyna took it to a whole other level. She would not only just be a force in WWE as far as being a personality goes, but she would, as a performer in the ring, she would do things that Sunny and Sable could not do. She got in there and she mixed it up with the men. She was part of DX. She was a focal point of DX, and some would say she was the backbone of DX. She would go on to be the first female performer in the Royal Rumble, 1999. She would be the first female to win a men's championship, becoming the Intercontinental Champion when she defeated Jeff Jarrett in 1999. Chyna would do all sorts of things for WWE as far as being a public figure goes. She posed for Playboy. She was the definition of being sexy and strong, putting those together, and she was a role model for a lot of people. Chyna really deserves the recognition, one of the all-time greatest female superstars of all time, and in my opinion, she was ahead of her time. She was the one that really laid the foundation for what today's female superstars are all about. Coming in at number 3 is AJ Lee. In my opinion, she was the most critical name as far as the WWE transitioning from divas to female superstars goes. AJ Lee was part of NXT Season 3, which was all females. She would be a breakout star in the sense that she did not look like your typical diva at the time. She wasn't a model turned wrestler. She was a huge WWE fan from childhood. There's that famous video of her meeting Lita, her idol, and she was breaking down crying. AJ Lee was the real deal. She was believable. She had the girl next door personality. She would develop her crazy character in 2011, 2012. She would be paired up with Daniel Bryan, and then she went off and did her own thing, and she was just different from the other women of that period. Of course, 2014 was that infamous moment where she came out on Monday Night Raw and cut the pipe bombshell promo on the cast of Total Divas. You had the Bella Twins out there, you had Eva Marie out there, and AJ Lee just lashed out and ripped into all of them. And to me, that was the moment when everything changed as far as the women's division goes. AJ Lee made the difference. And she doesn't get the credit, unfortunately, because of the person she was dating, CM Punk. CM Punk quit the company in 2014. AJ Lee would leave about a year after CM Punk did, and WWE has more or less ignored her contributions to the women's revolution. AJ Lee had the record as the longest reigning Divas Championship holder, but then Nikki Bella would break that record. Some would say that that was a controversial, politically influenced decision. But nonetheless, AJ Lee, in her short period in WWE, made a huge difference. And she is, in my opinion, one of the all-time greatest female superstars of all time. And now we're down to the final two. Coming in at number 2 is Lita. Lita came into WWE in early 2000. She was paired up with Essa Rios. Shortly after that, she was aligned with the Hardy Boys, and that's when her career really began to take off. Lita was the Queen of Extreme, you could say. She was part of Team Extreme with the Hardys. She would get physically involved in the very violent TLC matches of the time. She would help out the Hardys whenever she could, and then she began both an on-camera and off-camera relationship with Matt Hardy. She became a superstar in her own right, and as I mentioned earlier, you had women being influenced by Lita, most notably AJ Lee. Lita would go on to have an on and off again relationship with Trish Stratus. They would be enemies, they would be friends, they would be enemies again. They had a very classic rivalry during that period from 2000 to 2006. Lita would later be involved in a controversial breakup with Matt Hardy, and she would be aligned with her real-life boyfriend, Edge. She would manage Edge. She was part of Edge's rise to the top in WWE in 2005 and 2006. Lita was a great performer, whether it was as a babyface or a heel. Lita was very entertaining to watch. She left in 2006, but she would continue to make a difference in WWE. She would come back for occasional appearances. She would do Tough Enough. She would do commentary. Lita was definitely somebody that left her mark on WWE. And now, number 1 on my list of the top 15 female WWE superstars of the modern era, Trish Stratus. And let me just go over some of Trish's stats. 7-time women's champion. 6 times Trish was voted the NoDQ.com Female Superstar of the Year. She won every year from 2000 to 2006 except for 2005. No other woman has come close to that stat. Trish Stratus was also voted Diva of the Decade by WWE, and rightfully so. As far as the star power goes, Trish was a major superstar at the level of The Rock or Steve Austin. She was the female Rock or Steve Austin in WWE and during the Attitude Era. Trish came in 2000. She was part of the TNA faction, but she quickly broke off on her own. She would do various storylines that were demeaning, but she would do whatever WWE wanted her to do, and she could play whatever role WWE wanted. She could be the bitch, but she could also be a sweetheart. She could be the likable girl next door. She could do whatever the company needed her to do at the time. Trish would have a lot of memorable feuds in WWE. She would be back and forth with Lita. She would have some great matches with stars like Victoria, Molly Holly, Jazz, and the list goes on. She would go back and forth between face and heel. She could do either role very well. And then she would go on to main event Monday Night Raw with Lita in 2004. And then they would have a match, Unforgiven 2016, which would be Trish's retirement from WWE. She would still play a big role in the company for years to come. She would make occasional appearances. She went into the Hall of Fame in 2013. She made her appearance at the 2018 Women's Royal Rumble match. Trish has just been a true class act, both in and out of the ring. She married her high school sweetheart. Trish is just somebody you can look up to and idolize. In my opinion, the all-time greatest female superstar. When you look at all the attributes, Trish had it. Trish, in my opinion, is number one, and time will tell if anybody can top her run in WWE. So there you have it for my top 15 female superstars in the history of the WWE modern era. Let me know what you thought about this video and the list, what order you would have done differently, who should have been included, who should have been excluded. Leave a comment on NoDQ.com or the YouTube channel. Let me know what you thought about the video. Please spread the word if you enjoyed this video. Tell a friend and stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest wrestling news and rumors.